And I imagine you would have a battery of assessments that you would roll out periodically to make sure that you're hitting all your markers in all of these modalities.
Yeah, so we're gonna do an anaerobic threshold test. By far, I think that's one of the things that we're gonna do. We can either do a field test or we can take her to the lab. Either way, we'll do a Wingate test to monitor that. We can take her to Corey's place. If not, I could do a field test there. We'll do a VO2 max test just to have it for a measurement. Usually it's going to be a beep test. We'll use the MAS calculator to correlate the protocols after we find out her true VO2 and our MAS. And then power and all my other strength testing parameters. We're going to do that pretty much for testing. For conjugate, we're going to test her every week with our max effort. Mm-hmm. So I want to see true records being broke, even if it's a 2.5 pound increase. I'm cool with that because that's another record broke. If we keep doing that every week, that's progress, right? So she's going to be stronger by the end of the year, no matter what. Yep. With that being said, force times velocity equals power. So obviously we're going to increase in our power if we can increase that rate of force. So I'm trying to increase that force and also make sure that she's keeping her speed through other means of change of direction drills and quickness activation drills that I use with bands and other types of movement drills that we do that are more correlated towards the sport. Honestly, true speed is running. True speed is distance over time. They don't need that really inside that small, parameter of their fight, right? They need to be quick. Yeah. They need to be able to change, direction and redirect force. So that's what I'm truly working on is quickness and change of direction.
Right. So. What about velocity? You're working with the Gym Aware still?
I still work with the Gym Aware. I use it primarily to gauge adaptations, to gauge the stimulus that we're trying to acquire, right? So if I'm looking for a true dynamic effort, I want 0.8 to 1 meter per second, and I'll put the Gym Aware on there so I can gauge that. And then from there, I can eye it after that. So it's not truly, something I use all the time. I may get a velocity profile on them, but max effort is just as good, in my opinion, also to see breakdown, right? What I've seen with the Gym Aware, in my opinion, is that especially with the people and the athletes that I have that are very competitive, once they see that Gym Aware, all technique goes out the fucking window. Like they want to rip the bar off the floor, technique goes crazy. So I have to have a certain type of individual that's going to maintain their level of focus and technique, even when they're trying to move the bar as fast as possible, right? Yeah. Another thing we need to utilize is bands, right? In order for me to have true compensatory acceleration and eliminate bar deceleration and also stop technique from being too out of whack when we put that Gym Aware on, is to put bands on the bar. And that's primarily what I'll be using when I have the means to do so. So.
That's great. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's a fairly loaded kind of question I asked you, but there's so much in it. There's so many things to consider. There's so many different things that need to be developed, especially with judo. It's a very specific skill set. There's similar problems you're going to encounter to an MMA fighter, but they're a lot more specific in a sport like judo. I know from my experience working with all the jiu-jitsu fighters that I have over the years, it's, you can be very specialized just working with that one type of athlete. But when you zoom out and look at the timeline between now and the Olympics, I reckon that's fascinating. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that, mate.
I know, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having that time off too, and building another foundation of strength there. Yeah. With that GPP phase. I think if we get a good solid 3 months of GPP, it's just gonna be another person. That's gonna step on that Olympic stage. So it's gonna be fun.